And
Sorry I'm late, by the way.
oh,
Your
that's
call
okay.
didn't come through. I was looking at the group. I was sitting here staring at it, and the call didn't come through. And so I clicked on it. It's like join call.
It's all Jason's fault.
It is. I mean, I'll find a way to blame Jason.
Yeah, he can handle it.
Jason, are you picking up my fan?
No, but you're a little crunchy. Is your microphone there going out?
I don't think so.
Ooh, that's
It's bad.
yeah. It's a little crunchy. I mean, it'll be okay. Just don't shake your head around a lot.
Okay.
You need to
So
get.
if I sit still like this, it's fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
Need to get you a microphone, son.
Hey, I literally just quit my job, dude.
You need one of these bad boys, is what you need.
So in other words, you're about to make bank then, huh? When this bill passes.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I'm not eligible because I'm in college, and they just like to shit on everyone that's in college.
You're not eligible to collect unemployment because you're in school?
Yep.
That's weird.
100%. Doesn't matter. If you have money to go to school, you have money to live, apparently.
Wow. So are they going to do another? Aren't they supposed to be doing another $1,200 check? Are they going to do that too?
Yeah, they're supposed to. Another $1,200 check, and then the word is they're going to extend the $600 federal grant, and then unemployment, and then there's also talk of 70% that instead of 600, somebody's proposing 70% of what you were making prior to.
Well, that's actually what it was supposed to be the first time, but the only reason they did the 600 flat is because the unemployment offices in each of the states are so freaking far behind on like their computer system that
they didn't have the manpower to do all that.
They don't know how to use spreadsheets. Like they were just like, we can't do this, and they're like, what the hell? Like this whole thing exposed everything wrong with this country, man. It's like
they've got those 4 dummies guides, and they're like, okay, A2 plus B2.
They're like sitting there with like spreadsheets for dummies books open. Oh man. So Jacob, you got the ad thing ready to go?
Yeah, I do. Did you want me to post on Facebook real quick?
Yeah. Let everybody know we're live right now. What's up, Big Chunky? He's somebody in the chat room right now called Big Chunky. How you doing?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh.
No, it's not. It's not, but I'm commandeering your screen name.
Oh, nice. You like a chunky ball?
That's actually what they called me in high school.
Big Chunky.
Big Chunky.
So where's the chat thing? Is that in the middle?
Yeah, if you look on the Twitch page, twitch.tv/jayfunktastic, the chat's gonna be over on the right.
Oh, okay. No, I'm on Discord still.
Yeah, we can actually chat with each other on Discord if you need to. I can't do it because I've got the cameras set up.
Wait, so did you send the link to Twitch? Is that an app that do I have to download that as an app, or is there a website?
You can go to the website Twitch. I mean, for sure, if you just click on the link, it'll take you right there. I don't think you have to have a.
Did you put the link in here?
Yeah, it's in there. It should be. Let me make sure I did.
Where would I even look to find it?
Oh yeah, it's if you're on Twitter, huh?
Well, I'm on Discord right now.
Oh, it's not gonna be on the Discord. You're gonna have to
gotcha.
Open up
So what is it? Twitch.com?
Twitch.tv/jayfunktastic.
All right, that Facebook post is up, so I'm ready to do the sponsor message whenever you are.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we got everything good to go. The Twitch stream looks nice and strong. I'm going to go ahead and close that out so I'm not draining.
Yeah, a good strong stream yet again.
Not a good strong stream.
No need to go to the doctor yet.
The older you get, the worse the stream gets.
Did y'all hear that? When I okay, I see it. Oh, I gotta turn the volume off on that.
All right. Well, we're good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna count down to 3. And then
right.
Jacob, I'll just tell you go, and then just go ahead and read the ad. Then I'll play the music.
Sounds good.
All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Today's episode has been brought to you by our Lord and Savior, Mark Simmons, the second of Touch Biloxi. Mark brings us the sun each morning, and with his almighty arm, he holds up the very sky. Now in his infinite wisdom, he brings us the holy gift of his music. Touch Biloxi. Every Touch Biloxi album can be found for free at touchbiloxi.bandcamp.com with option to donate. He is the light, the truth, and the way of an eclectic measure of sounds that are sure to delight your senses. Please enjoy responsibly. Praise him. Praise Touch Biloxi. Please also like Touch Biloxi on Facebook and vote Touch Biloxi for Best Solo/Duo at the Covey Awards because he covets the Covey. And that's only an ad message we could get from Mr. Mark Simmons.
Nice. And you're going to be hearing that for the next month.
He's going to send us different, utterly hilarious messages to read in our podcast.
Yeah, go check out Touch Biloxi on Facebook. He has sponsored this entire month of August. Go check him out. He's a funny dude. If you missed the episode with him, he was on a few episodes ago. Go check him out, Touch Biloxi. And for right now, I'm going to play our theme song.
Praise Mark.
It is Thursday night, and it is time for another Open Micers podcast. My name is Jason Robbins.
I'm Jacob Craig.
Yeah, you are. And we have a really, really awesome guest tonight. He played the one and only Frank N. Stein in Monsters Anonymous. He's been on, you've seen him on CSI, on Claws.
NCIS New Orleans.
NCIS New Orleans, the Purge TV show. Dude's been everywhere. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Dan Levy.
All praises to Mark Simmons.
So the first thing I want to ask you is, how often do you get confused with the other Dan Levy, the writer for Schitt's Creek?
It's not so much that I get confused with him. It's just that people like to mess with me about just the fact that I have his name.
Yeah.
Like, I actually get more confused with. I used to get John Mayer all the time.
Really?
Wow.
John Mayer was a really common thing that I got in terms of looks for whatever reason. And then when 50 Shades of Grey came out, I got a ton of what's the guy? Jamie Dornan? What's his name?
Yeah.
That's his name.
Yeah. So when that came out, that kind of took over.
So did you have a ton of middle-aged housewives chasing you down the street?
in leather, yeah, wearing leather and carrying their whips, yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's a daily struggle for me personally.
Well, yeah.
It was a great life. it was great while it lasted, that's for sure.
So before we get into the Monsters Anonymous stories, we were talking before the show, and I kept saying, let's save this for the show, but you actually, I had asked you how your career was going, because you were taking off there for a while, and you kind of came back with you had taken some time off because LA was just tell us about it, man. Tell us all about your LA trip.
Well, let's clarify first that career is kind of a loose term, at least for me. Mainly because, as you know, Jason, the acting scene is kind of hard to crack.
Yeah.
There's a lot of catch-22s that you have to kind of navigate. And then there's some politics that you have to play until you finally get representation, and then start. Then you got to get the next level, which is the politics of the casting directors. And then once you're on their radar, then you can start to book things, and they shortlist you. You don't even compete with a bunch of other actors anymore. At that point, they're like, hey, I've got this role. You're perfect for it. Come read for it, and I'll send your tape in and see what they say.
I think the
and
thing
that's actually how I booked NCIS New Orleans.
Yeah, I think the biggest eye opener for me, and I don't know if this was the same for you, was the audition process, because auditioning is just tiring, man. It just got to the point I just didn't even want to do it anymore.
Yeah, it's I gotta say that I heard enough people warn me about the difficulties and all the catch-22s about trying to quote unquote make it. So nothing was really so much an eye-opener for me until I got to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, I mean, I met so many people who, they give up on their dreams, and it kind of drove me to question why. And then I started to kind of feel the vibes in LA, and the more people I met, the more I kind of understood how somebody, specifically somebody who doesn't really know themselves, just get lost in Los Angeles, and then eventually just get to a place where, maybe they hit a roadblock, where they get representation. And it's not uncommon for representation out there to request nude photos, things like that. So some of the people I met, they had that experience, and they were just like, this isn't for me. They want to act. They don't want to, they didn't go out there to Californicate to make it on the silver screen. They wanted to do it with their talent and their passion. And unfortunately, LA is not that market. So, and that's actually what I think my mistake was leaving the Gulf Coast market, because even though the roles down here were not as big, they were getting bigger progressively, and it was a steady growth. And I left with big dreams in mind, and a big name and bright lights and all that stuff. And like you said, I had some momentum, but my idea of momentum versus the industry standard for momentum, they're not even close. They don't even compare, because you're talking one scene in a TV in an episode. They're co-star roles, so I was in the scenes with the leads, but in the industry, that's not as big of a deal as people like you and I would think. And I was ecstatic when I booked each one of those. But you can't let that kind of influence your decision-making process. And I did. I kind of saw the big bright lights, and I was blinded by it, and kind of wrongfully left, but I learned my lesson. I'm back in the South now.
Well, it seems to me like you could actually make more of a career out of being in this area, because of course a lot of stuff gets made here now in New Orleans and Atlanta. So you could
like
probably,
I said, there's access to more roles down here, so you can work at a more steady pace, right? So it's more consistent. You can work more often, but you can't necessarily make it a full-time career, right? It's almost like I like to tell people it's a hobby that pays on occasion, because actors, even myself, still to this day, I do short films for free,
that's what I do too.
Exactly. And just like you, we got into this business because we enjoy it, right? It's something that we're passionate about. So so I don't really chase the money. I don't chase it as a career. My position has kind of changed, and my reason is still the same. I still do it because I love it. I just have different expectations now. So I have kind of a different, more mature plan and approach to the film industry as a whole, and booking roles. But you're absolutely right, though. You can work more frequently on more projects here in the South than you can if you were in a major market like New York or Los Angeles, because most of those films are coming down here anyway. They're only casting the major roles out there, and then they're coming down here. But also, like I said earlier, they're starting to allow the Southern talent pool to fill in a lot of those recurring roles and bigger roles on TV series and Netflix series, things like that. So
well, not only
there is
that,
some
but
growth
I
in that.
think with COVID pretty much shutting down the you know, Hollywood and everything, I honestly think everything's gonna leave there, and it's gonna.
So it's funny you just said that, because I literally I was just talking to somebody the other day about that, but and even today actually, a former FBI federal prosecutor that I know, spoke to him earlier for about an hour and a half. Um, Not necessarily about this, but a lot about a lot of these conspiracies about Hollywood. And I really see that having an effect on film business in Hollywood. And I see maybe almost a mass exodus of talent leaving there and coming down south, because first off, all the work is down here.
Yeah.
And people want to they want to be on camera, right? We do this because we love it. You get out in LA, you get stuck in the cycle of trying to pay bills.
Yeah.
You know, it may not be as expensive as New York, but it's pretty damn expensive. You know,
sure.
I was actually living in my car the last month or so that I was there. I was sleeping in my car.
Wow.
But the weather out there was so nice. All I had to do was crack my windows, and I was still waking up under a blanket in July in my car. So that was great. But but I wanted that experience. I wanted to go out to LA with the struggling artist mentality. So I was hungry. And like I said, I just kind of just getting around town and going to different parties and things. I don't like the vibes that I was getting out there. I didn't see anything that deterred me from it, but there was a lot of kind of just bad energy that I just didn't connect with.
Yeah.
Connect with whatever it was. I didn't like it. So.
Well, the thing is, you know, between the two of us, you know, I mean.
Hold on, I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Hello. Check 1, 2, 3.
You saying something?
Yeah, I think we got a little lag going on here.
Can you hear me at all, Daniel?
Hello. Can you
he
hear
must
me?
not be able to hear us.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause for just a moment. Yeah, he got a little chunky there for a second, so hopefully.
A little chunky.
Yeah, a little chunky.
Little Chunky is my rapper name.
Hopefully, we're just getting a hiccup. Let me put us in Central. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I moved us to Central instead of South. So, all right, let me unpause real quick. But one of the things I was saying is, you know, I've been on some professional sets, and I've been on, you know, very guerrilla style short films and stuff like that. And honestly, I have way more fun just doing like the short films and just being around friends, and it just feels more punk rock, you know, like you're actually doing something.
It feels more sort of like underground. Everyone's authentic. Everyone's there because they love what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Monsters Anonymous is to this day probably the most fun that I've had on a set.
Yeah.
And I was a rapper in Jurassic World. So I've been on, you know, 9-figure budget movies as well. And I gotta say, I had more fun on Monsters Anonymous than probably any other TV show or film set that I've been on.
Before we get into that, you touched on something real quick that I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah,
you actually
back
played.
a little bit. Yeah.
You played. You did the motion capture for Blue.
Well, it's okay.
Jurassic
so it wasn't motion capture, right? So it was a little more advanced than that. Now for I don't know if they used motion capture at all, but the work that I did was more like a raptor. It was like a CGI stand-in. So what they did was they put me in this motion capture suit without all the dots on it.
Yeah.
And I had a styrofoam raptor head on, and it buckled. It was like a bicycle helmet buckled underneath. And what they would do is set the camera, and they would have me run from A to B, and they would film me, and they would pull focus and just time everything. And then they would take me out of the shot, and they would roll camera without me there or without anything there. And they would just film it, pull focus, zoom in, zoom out, pull focus, whatever it was that they were doing according to the timing of me running out. And then they would go in there and frame by frame put in just paint a raptor.
That's cool.
So it wasn't necessarily motion capture. But what was cool about that was the guy, and I don't know his name. I want to say his name is Tim something, but I could be totally wrong about that. But it's the same guy who did all the graphics and CGI for Lord of the Rings, Transformers. I mean, he did some big movies. And I'm sitting at this lunch table, and I'm just like, so what do you guys do, you know? And he's like, oh, I'm the CGI, I'm the artist, whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, have you done anything else? You know, like Steven Spielberg would hire just some college intern to come do his graphics for a $250 million movie. And he's like, yeah, I was also in charge of Lord of the Rings and Transformers. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm sitting there having lunch with the heavy hitters, the who's who of the special effects part or segment of the industry, which was amazing. Jurassic World really was the set that kind of launched my journey, because I went in as an extra and just got friendly with the people there, and the next thing I knew, I was on vacation in Florida, and they called me to come back and be a Raptor, and I was like, yeah, I'm on my way.
That's
so
awesome.
That was a lot of fun.
Are you afraid now of being typecast as a Raptor?
Yeah. I'm afraid of getting typecast as a Raptor when I go to my family Christmas parties now. Because all my little cousins, all my little cousins like to brag to their friends that their big cousin, is Blue the Raptor in Jurassic World. My cousin actually told me that her kid's teacher came out at the end of the day and said, your boys were telling the rest of the class that their cousin is a Raptor in Jurassic World. And she starts laughing. She goes, oh no, he actually is. And I had to send them a picture and everything. And it turns out the teacher was actually a friend of mine from high school. So she starts laughing. She's like, oh my God, Stan, I had no idea. Because it's not something that you can talk about. When you're on a set like Jurassic World, you sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, every day that you get to set. So every day that you walk in there, you're signing a new one, and you're putting, for this particular movie, they gave us these stickers to put on our phones. So on both cameras, on the selfie camera and on the back side of the phone. If you go to peel the sticker off, like a hidden message appears. So if you pulled your phone out and they saw that the message had appeared on the sticker, that meant you pulled your sticker off. You probably took a picture of something. They were either going to fire you on the spot, or they would ask you to pull up your pictures and go through them to make sure that you weren't taking video or anything of set. So I couldn't go share those pictures anywhere. You know, at least not until after the movie released.
Yeah.
So once it hit theaters, that was it. You better believe I texted those pictures to all kinds of people.
I want to shout out, I am the Rampage in the chat room right now. He said Celtic Studios is in Baton Rouge. I've never heard of that, but he said that they've been doing more stuff over there filming. Yeah, there's a show that I did a table read actually with one of the actors couldn't make it, so I had to read for one of the other actors, and it was for Paradise Lost. It's a new series.
Yeah. I've heard of it.
Yeah, about the body farm and everything.
Yeah.
I went out there for a table read for that. But Celtic does good business. Baton Rouge is kind of, I think it really all started in Baton Rouge, or maybe even Shreveport, and then it kind of found its way to New Orleans, and then now New Orleans has really become a hub in the state of Louisiana for film work. And what I mean by hub is kind of the central location that everybody actually, like, that's where their headquarters is. They'll travel elsewhere and they'll go bring trailers to Franklin, Louisiana, or, you know, Lafayette or whatever. And they'll stay a few days out there and live in trailers and cheap hotel rooms out there. But all their main offices are typically located here in New Orleans.
Yeah. I don't know if a lot of people know this too, but there's there are huge warehouses that house most of the movie props that are used in this region, and there's one in Gulfport, and then there's one in Slidell. I
Slidell, yeah.
I actually got to
Slidell,
go. I actually got to.
that's a pretty famous one. That
Yeah,
it was an old car dealership,
yeah,
and the guy bought it and just started buying. I don't know if he was going to garage sales or he was just going to junkyards and just picking stuff up and bringing it over there, and then he just grew a movie props business from it that does really well. And it's right on the interstate, right along the interstate service road. So you can see it. I don't know if that's Gauze Boulevard. I think it is.
yeah, it is.
But as you're approaching Gauze Boulevard on, I want to say that is westbound.
Yeah.
I-10.
You look over and there's like a UFO sitting there.
Yeah. It's like some space capsules.
The dude, I was in the one in Gulfport, and we were filming a movie in there, and I went walking around one night just because there's just so much crap in there, and it's like the size of 10 football fields. And I'm walking around, and all of a sudden I look around, and I'm surrounded by all these stuffed dead horses. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Come to find out, it was a set from Django Unchained. And it was like all the dead stuffed horses. Like, this is awesome.
Yep. It's a total, like, somebody like me and you, it's a nerd's paradise.
Oh, yeah.
We go in there, and this is all the behind the scenes movie magic. When you put it on camera, it moves and it looks real and all this stuff. But you get to see it in person in real life and touch it, and you're like, this is amazing that this thing actually did this in this movie, you know? And you can start to pick out, oh, that's the thing from this movie. And those are the Hummers from Fantastic Four. And, you know.
What were you going to say, Jacob? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off a minute ago.
Oh, no, I was just going to say I took a trip to New Orleans today for my daughter's doctor appointment. She has to go see a specialist in New Orleans, and we drove by the movie warehouse on the interstate. And we were so close to stopping. Like, if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, we were gonna stop and go look around.
You're actually about to pull off the interstate, and you're like, oh, they're probably not open. There's a worldwide global pandemic happening right now.
I mean, it's wide open. It's so weird because it looks kind of like someone's old barn.
Yeah.
But it has a giant like movie whatever on it.
Yeah. Like I said, for the longest time it was a Chevrolet dealership. And I don't know if it was so much a dealership as much as it was a lot that the region of Chevy dealerships used to kind of store vehicles. But at one point it was like a car dealership.
It's so weird when you drive by there. I always look every time I go by because there's something different out front every time you go by.
Yeah, or something's moved around, but you're right. There's always something new.
Because the last time I went by, there was like a UFO sitting there. I was like, that's awesome.
I didn't see a UFO today, but there was a giant, like, comically large wagon wheel.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You seen that?
Yeah, there was that, but there's also for the longest time he had like this old. It was like a 2003 Suburban, but it was like it was like a monster truck Suburban that sat out there for the longest time. And if you notice, a lot of the stuff, it's just basically it's all broken, right? But you get a movie that wants to use it. That movie crew they'll put in as little money as possible just to get it working in a working condition that they can use it to roll camera and then cut. You know, and I was on. I did some background work early on the movie Trumbo. It wasn't a big movie, but with Bryan Cranston.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, it was a Jay Roach movie. But they shot here in New Orleans, and they used a lot of old cars because it was a period piece. And there was a scene that I did out front of Trumbo's house, and I was one of the news guys. You can't really see me. And there was a car that they kept having to start to move it around, or for the scene they needed it or something. And they had a mechanic on site on call because the car kept breaking. And they would they fixed the cars just enough to get them functioning for the scene. Then they'll shoot the scene and then that'll be done. Now, I've also been on sets like what's the Gerard Butler, the big weather machine terrorist attack movie, Geostorm.
Oh
Geostorm.
yeah.
So I did some pre-production on that as one of the like UN soldiers, and there's a lot of Humvee action in that. So we're supposed to be out in the desert. We were shooting in St. Francisville, Louisiana, and this guy has, in fact, it's the same property that they filmed Magnificent Seven on.
Oh, that's cool.
Magnificent Seven and even Django did a scene there. It was like there's a scene in Django where Jamie Foxx and Waltz are sitting up on a hill and they kind of snipe this guy out. He's like plowing his little garden.
Yeah.
And they kind of snipe him out from the hill. That was filmed on this guy's property.
Oh wow.
But it's a huge like hilly sort of like farmland in St. Francisville, Louisiana. But there's sand. There's a whole section of it that's like it's sand dunes that they built up. And if you went into there's like the way they're set up, you kind of walk behind them, and then there's like an entrance you can walk into or even drive into. It's wide enough, and you're in this giant like dust bowl, and you wouldn't know if you were standing in the middle of that. If somebody led you there with a blindfold, took your blindfold off, you would have no clue that you're in St. Francisville, Louisiana.
Crazy.
You'd take your blindfold off, and you'd be like, when did we get to Afghanistan? I mean, it looks like you're in the middle of the desert in Star Wars or something like that. It's just, but same thing there. We had a lot of Humvees out there driving through sand. So a lot of the sand was getting up because we were doing some kind of stunt like scenes. It was like a convoy of Humvees, and we ended up, I think one or two of them ended up not working at all. I don't know if they got too much sand up in it, or I don't know what happened, but they ended up having to pull those Humvees out and replace those just to finish the scene. But it's the work that these crews go through to make to please us for an hour and a half in a theater room or on our couches. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's no surprise that these movies and TV shows, man, take 3 years or even more to make.
I don't think necessarily 3 years is not so much the film part of it.
Yeah.
It usually only takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months, depending on how big the script is, and any complications, like if they have weather holding them back, or if they're filming in a location that has like a terrorist attack or something, but like
that's oddly specific.
Right. Yeah. So maybe sometimes they'll even use the aftermath in a scene.
No.
Yeah. But like Free State of Jones was filming here in Louisiana for 6 months. Wow. That is a long time for a film to shoot. 6 months is about what it takes for an episodic to film. To film one season. Or even two, depending. Like NCIS New Orleans will sometimes they'll do like a 24 episode season, and they'll knock that out in 6 months. But I will say this: the NCIS New Orleans production crew, as like a crew, they are efficient.
Yeah.
They know how to move. They get the shots done. They're using 4 cameras sometimes. They go in there and they get their shots done and they move on. I mean, they don't play around. And the scene that I did have in season 4, they booked me for 2 days. When I say my call time was 5 p.m. and I was finished by 9 p.m., so maybe 4 hours on set, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
Typically, even if you have a line or two, they want you there all day long. Even if they don't plan to shoot your coverage until the end of the day, you're usually there all day, right? So like I had a scene in the show Claws. I had an 8:30 a.m. shoot to call time. They didn't even need me until after lunch. So I didn't even shoot until I don't think I stood on my mark until probably 4:30, 5 o'clock.
That's another thing about acting that nobody tells you about is the amount of just boredom that you
Yeah,
go through
yeah.
on these sets, because your call time is sometimes 7 in the morning, and you get there and you don't even like get in front of the camera till, like, you know, like you said, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's like, I've been here all day. Like, why did I have to be here all day?
Right. Why? and sometimes it's just, I don't know if it's that they don't care, or but sometimes, in their defense, it is a they plan to shoot your stuff first, and then something happens where the lead either has an issue or is late to set, or the whole production just decides it's better if we shoot this stuff first.
Yeah.
And then they figure, you know what, we're paying this guy for 12 hours anyway, so we might as well just have him here all day. And if we decide that we want to shoot his coverage sooner rather than later, then he's here, we can just call him to set, and we'll get his stuff done. And
in the
then,
meantime, you're just sitting around eating snacks and
not me, but you better believe that there is temptation when you're on set to go buy Crafty,
like donuts.
Like, oh, they got the peanut butter M&Ms today. I like these.
Ooh, Twizzler. Ooh, they got the red vines today.
yeah. Now by the time they call you to set, you're all puffy and swollen because all these salty and sweet snacks you've been munching on.
Well, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Monsters Anonymous experience, because that was, I think, for both of us, that was our very first kind of experience on set, wasn't it? Well, at least it was for me.
In the context in which we were involved, you're right. More so you, because this was your project. I mean, you and Wally wrote that thing. And if it wasn't for you guys, we would have never even been there to begin with. So you had a lot more on your mind and a lot more to worry about than I did.
Yeah.
Me, I was just, you basically invited me to come be a clown for 2 days. You know?
I had a 4-year film and TV bachelor's degree thrown on me in a month. Like, I had to learn completely how to do everything in a month. And
budgeting, you know, it was only a $15,000 budget, but $15,000 is a lot to an individual. But now you've got to stretch that to make a movie happen.
Yeah.
And it's not like we didn't raise $15,000 hoping to make it back.
Yeah.
We raised $15,000 from friends and family to follow a passion.
Yeah.
You know, but
that money was gone before we even got it. I mean, that we had people, you know, at cast, you know, crew and you know, the makeup and all the stuff we had to order, like that stuff, that money was gone before we even got it. We were just, as soon as we got the money, it was like checkbook started, you know, it was on fire.
And that's how we came up with the budget. We knew how much we needed. We raised it. And then, like you said, we spent it. It all had a place to go. By the time the funding campaigns ended, like you said, all that money was accounted for. It had a place to go. So, but I thought y'all did a great job with managing that, because, you know, you get $15,000, and some people, it's not unlikely for people to come in there and get greedy and say,
oh, we had those people.
I'm doing this, or I did this. Yeah, I'm not doing that because you're not paying me for it. But I gotta say though, and I'm sure you can second me on this. I think we got really lucky in that we had probably the best combination of people working on that film, and the timing of that too is because it's only been what, 5 years? What was that, 2015?
4 years.
That we
it was
did that?
2016 when we filmed it. So we're coming up on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been 4 years.
Jeez. Yeah. So, but 4 years, and think about how different every single one of our lives are.
Yeah.
I mean, Crystal, the makeup girl, who's phenomenal at what she does. It's no surprise that she has grown in her profession since then. Is now like a big makeup bigwig on Fear the Walking Dead in Austin.
Yep.
I think she's kind of traveling right now. It looks like I've been kind of following her social media, but and then there's people, Jeremy and Juliet have moved. They no longer live in Mississippi. Jason's doing his own. He was in LA for a little while. I think he's back and forth between LA now. Jason Edwards. We're all just kind of doing different things now. So it's pretty cool to see what transpired from that.
Yeah.
Because at one point, or right after that, we had so much fun. Everybody was trying to get another one going. But that's a hard thing to do. We were able to rally a lot of people to get behind us, and they were as enthusiastic and as passionate and excited about the project as we were. But to do that twice,
yeah,
you're asking a lot.
The dream was to actually use that as a proof of concept, to actually use it as a pitch to do an ongoing TV series.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, I still think it's a great concept, and I still think it can. Just because we haven't done it yet doesn't mean it can't. But
yeah, well, I'm actually I'm going to put together a package for it and start pitching it, because once COVID is over with and they start filming things again, there's going to be a run on whatever stuff that they can pick up, because they're going to want to instantly go into production on stuff.
Well, but not even COVID definitely has its place in the impact it's had on the industry. But even without COVID, there's never going to be any shortage of a demand for content.
Oh, yeah.
It's only going to grow.
Especially now with all the different streaming possibilities and stuff.
It's the future.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the future. So if anything, maybe COVID kind of gave you an opportunity to kind of sit back and maybe even reflect on a path to take.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that you haven't done it yet, because COVID is going to change how the world operates. I mean, the way things happen are going to change, and that's across all spectrums, every industry.
Yeah.
Every industry is going to be operating completely different than it has before. So it's like I said, maybe it's a blessing that you haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
And this is going to give you an opportunity to kind of maybe change how you're going to go about doing it, or maybe even ideas that you had for the concept. So,
well, me and Wally had, 2-3 seasons of shows planned out.
I remember y'all telling me
by episode, that. And we were ready to go, man.
I couldn't wait. I was so stoked. I was like, yeah, let's do it again. Let's do it. For me, it wasn't even because nobody got paid for it.
Yeah.
The only people who made money were the crew members because they were doing labor. We had to pay them. And then even Crystal, because she didn't do it single-handedly. Courtney did a fantastic job also, and the rest of the crew as well. But same thing, the kind of labor what they did was a lot more labor intensive than what we had to do. Now, you had a lot more on your plate than I did, because this was your project. And
if it wasn't for Darnell, I would have
you're
had
absolutely right.
I would have had a nervous breakdown on that.
But then Darnell was such a natural at what she did. She has this like motherly, really natural, nurturing quality about her.
Yeah.
That to her, it wasn't work. It was, these are all my friends, and it was like we were all her children.
Yeah.
And she was like the mother. She was the set mother, which is what she referred to herself as quite a bit. So she did that with such ease. I would hire Darnell in a heartbeat for a film, to organize any kind of film. I was like, whether it's even as a UPM, because she balanced a lot of the budget, and she was very communicative with you and everyone else about or the people, whoever was in charge of the budget. She was very communicative with you guys about how much money we have left, what do we need, and again, that another person who she actually had, her position was very labor intensive. But again, didn't ask for any money.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't do it for money. You know, we had probably I don't see something it's happening like that too often.
Yeah.
Where you can get so many people together
But
and
you
do
can
it for the
see
right
it.
reason.
You can see it on the screen
Yep.
when you watch
Yep.
it. Like it
Yep.
came out so much better than even
Yeah.
I envisioned it. Like when I first, literally, the night me and Jason talked about it.
Jason Edwards.
Yeah, Jason Edwards. We were
Yeah.
we had gone to eat at Chili's, and we were talking about we should do a short film, just a class project. You know, throw in $1,000 and do it for like $2,000. Let's make this little 5-10 minute short film. We just need
Yeah.
a story. And I was like, well, I've got like this idea. So I went and wrote what I could write. I got up to the Elizabeth monologue and I sent it to Wally. And I was like, dude, please help me finish writing this because I don't know how to end it. And so he took it and like beefed up some of the jokes in it because he said I was too mean. And
oh, come on, Wally, that's comedy.
So we finally got it together, and we were gonna film this thing in like one night, and we were gonna do it with like $100 worth of Halloween store makeup.
Yep.
And this thing was gonna turn out awful. Like it was gonna be awful.
BYOB, bring your own snacks, bring your own drinks.
But it ended up, once Jeremy got involved, it just kind of ballooned into this whole big thing. And then Brent came on board. Brent brought Brian Kaz and his crew.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Crystal Shannon, who was gonna do the makeup, and it just became this huge thing that was like so far beyond anything I'd ever imagined, and I was so scared to death because I was like, if this thing falls through, it's on my head. It's on my head.
I got it. While we're on the topic, it helps that we had a name like Jeremy London to get involved, because when you have somebody who had been there, done that, right? Somebody that you can Google and pull up information on, like Jeremy, that gave you credibility as a filmmaker. So people were like, "Oh, these guys are doing a short film with Jeremy London right here in Mississippi in my neighborhood. How can I not contribute to that?" And then he brought Jason London, and then even Jackie Seagull,
and then Brian O'Halloran came in.
I remember when we got the word that Brian O'Halloran had agreed to be a part of it, I was like, "Oh, there's no way! This is gonna be so great." I was a kid in a candy store, and this wasn't even my script. I didn't write it, so I can't imagine how you felt when Jeremy was like, "Hey, I spoke to Brian, and he's gonna come in for us."
Because this was actually during Pensacon, because he and Brian O'Halloran both had tables at Pensacon, and I hadn't gotten there yet. I was going to be there on Saturday. He called me up Friday night and was like, "Dude, we got Brian. He's going to play Dracula." And I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" I was just like, "What is happening right now?" And I couldn't believe it, man. I was like, I called everybody. I called Wally. I was like, "Dude, fucking Dante is gonna be in our movie, man! Like, this is unreal." And when I
hadn't even seen at the time. I had only seen the second Clerks.
Yeah.
And I had never seen the first one, but when we got that word that Brian was going to join in, I was bragging to everybody. I was like, "Dante from Clerks. You've never seen Clerks?" And I was like putting the pressure on people.
Yeah.
And here I am. I had only seen Clerks 2 probably once or twice before. So I had the slightest clue who Brian was. I had an idea.
Brian being in the movie was like, Clerks was that movie along with Pulp Fiction. They both came out the same year for me. Like, I saw them both in the same year in '94. Those two movies were what made me want to be a filmmaker. So and I've watched Clerks. I have seen the Clerks so many times, you have no idea. And to get him in the movie was just, I could not have imagined that. I mean, that's like might as well have been Steven Spielberg or something.
Yep.
You know, I was like,
Yep.
this can't be happening.
Yeah.
But
Shout out
think
to
about
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
think about how close we got to getting Nick Swartzen involved.
Oh yeah,
too.
he was almost in the movie
know,
too.
Hey, talk
Jer-
about that.
Well, I think Jason, you probably know a lot more than I do.
I probably know as much as you do. I think Jeremy and Nick Swartzen were. I think they already knew each other, but I think Jeremy was on a plane ride somewhere, and Nick was on the plane ride with him too. And he asked him if he'd be interested in doing the movie, and he was like, "Well, send me the script." So he sent him the script, and Nick really wanted to do it, but I think he had something else going on at the same time.
Well, I thought it was more that he wanted his buddies in the film.
Yeah, I think it was something to do with like that. I don't remember the exact details.
Right, and this is coming from Jeremy. That's what Jeremy told us, was that he really liked it. He wanted to do it, but he wanted him and his friends as opposed to anything else. Which
you want to like make it his thing.
Right, and I got to give credit to Jeremy, who stuck with us.
Yeah,
you know, he didn't sell out for the famous guy who most people could have very easily done, and Jeremy didn't. So he stuck with the unknowns, and he stuck true to the mission, which was a class project. You know, this whole idea, like you said a second ago, Jason, was meant to be an acting class project that the class worked on. So, and we ended up, we did better with that than I thought. The fact that we allowed people to buy speaking roles, and we wrote speaking roles in for people who wanted to contribute to the budget.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really cool idea. And those people came in and they had a ball. They got to be a movie star for a night, you know, and hang out with Jeremy London and Jason London and Brian O'Halloran and Jackie Seagull and
I
Jason
think that second night when we were doing all the extra scenes with all the zombies, I think everybody was starting to regret it at that point because they were all. It was from because we had started filming. What was it, like Friday night, and we went through all day, like Friday to Saturday morning, and then Saturday night into Sunday morning.
No. I think it was Saturday night, and then Sunday night.
Yeah. It was 7. We started getting in makeup at like noon or like 1:30.
Yeah, we started.
Saturday.
Yeah, we started early with makeup, but because it was only Crystal. The first day it was Crystal by herself for the first half, right?
Well, she started working on me, and then her assistant got there and started working
Courtney.
on.
Right, and then Courtney. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Eventually, Courtney got there, and then it was still for two of them to knock that out. Well,
Which
I say
was
knock it out.
Awesome, because we started putting the makeup on at Jeremy's house, which is on one side of Ocean Springs, and then we had to drive. When it was time to start going over and getting ready to film, we had to drive across Ocean Springs. So I'm driving across Ocean Springs like with this complete like devil makeup on. And people are like looking at me drive by, and I'm just like, hi.
That's really safe to do in the middle of the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Diablo.
Way to go, J Bob.
But a lot of people don't know this either. You know, when I first wrote the script, I wrote it not only as a love letter to Young Frankenstein, because I love Young Frankenstein. I love Mel Brooks.
I'm a big Mel Brooks guy myself.
I wanted to play Frank because not only did I not want to have to memorize any lines, but I also wanted, and it's good that it turned out the way it did, because if I'd have gotten the role of Frank, I was just gonna do a complete, like, I was just gonna copy what Peter Boyle did and Young Frankenstein, but you took it, and I was so mad when he gave it to you. I was like, oh, Frank, and
he didn't even give me. Wait, but here's the crazy part. I didn't want to play Frank either.
Yeah, you didn't even want to play Frank.
No, I didn't. And I actually have, because Monsters played at the Oxford Film Fest, and I spoke at after the screening, and the interviewer asked that question, how did you become Frank? And I told him the same thing. I was like, look, I didn't want to be Frankenstein because he had no real words. He had no real lines. I wanted to speak and like say things and have fun with some words. Frank was just mumbling the whole time.
But I knew that role. I was like, man, if it's played right, it's gonna get the most laughs. And dude, I gotta say that you nailed it. You got exactly what I wanted out of that part. You and Sheenan both have such chemistry in those roles.
Yeah, we did.
Because you're totally like the put upon, just like, ugh, like don't want to be in this marriage anymore, but you still love her, and just like, and to this day, you are officially my favorite version of the Frankenstein monster.
Well, that is absolutely an honor. So
and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I love it. Like you still, as many times as I've seen that movie, you still make me laugh every time I see it.
Well, that's probably because you were there for the outtakes when I actually said words as Frankenstein.
Oh, I wish I had those outtakes.
I still have not seen that footage.
I've seen that footage. I don't know what happened to it.
I don't know who's got it, but I want it. So if you can find whoever's got that, I don't know if you have it or if maybe like Artie or somebody has it, but if you can find out who's got it and get me that clip, that would be fantastic.
I gotta find it.
Because that was probably one of the highlights of the night.
My favorite
I don't think anybody... Not a single person on set wasn't laughing.
My favorite part of the entire movie is when they're doing the let's give Vlad some love and everybody's clapping and you do the one real slow. It cracks me up every time I see it. And one other part when Dracula says they got upset with me because I couldn't do the matinees, and then in the background you hear you go, oh. Dude, your comic timing is perfect, and I was gonna tell you, like, dude.
I think Jeremy, and again, props to Jeremy because he knew that about me, and I didn't even see it. I didn't see it prior to filming because it wasn't until the day of, and I'm like, Jeremy, what? Like, I don't understand what I'm saying. It just says "grr," and he's like, I'm like, how do I make that funny? Which is why I didn't want the role. And because I had no clue how I was going to make that funny. And this is where some sort of fundamental acting training comes in, right? It wasn't so much about the words, which lucky for us, Jeremy, we had those exercises in class where we didn't focus on the words. We all had said the same words, but we all had to bring a different emotion to it, right? And we had different fluctuations at different parts in these monologues that we had. And Jeremy kind of when we sat down the night before in Jeremy's den reading the script, Brian had just gotten there, Jackie had just pulled up, and we all sat down in Jeremy's den and did like a little table read. It wasn't until that session that I had any clue what I was going to do. I mean, like I said, there were no real words written out for Frank. It was all grr and it was all these moans and groans. However you can spell a moan and a groan in a script, that's all it was. It was all these M's and G's and R's put together. And Jeremy was like, make that funny. And I'm like, how?
Yeah, but I had faith in you.
This funny.
I had faith in you because, Jacob, we used to do this thing in class where nobody ever really sees themselves the way other people see them. And we used to do this thing in class where you sit in front of the class and you just do this blank face. And everybody in class kind of says what they think, like, you would
how they see you.
Yeah, how they see you. Yeah. Like, you may see yourself as one thing, but I may see myself as this big cuddly teddy bear, but for some reason everybody else saw me as like this intimidating, tall guy. And I'm like, I'm not intimidating at all. But
I
you
think, I
came to
think I even said
class.
Fred Durst.
You
You do
came to
remind me of
class one
Fred Durst
night,
a little bit.
and when we were doing monologues, and you came in one night and you did this monologue from Full House, and you did it in like this British accent, and
Yeah.
I wish I had it on tape because I could have watched you do that all night long. It was so freaking funny.
That came at a time where I was experimenting with British accents in acting classes. So I didn't do it for any particular reason. I just did it because I had auditioned for some roles on the show Preacher that was filming in New Orleans at the time. And some of them were German, like one of them was like a German Nazi role or something. So I had to learn a German accent. And I was like, man, and that was a 24-hour turnaround. I got the audition 5 p.m. and I had to be there at like 9 a.m. the next morning. So I stayed up all night practicing German accents. But after that audition, I was like, you know what? I need to start exploring accents. So I went through this sort of phase in acting classes where it started off as British and then it would fade to Australian. So what I did, I said, you know what? Since I'm naturally going Australian in these accents, I'm going to actually just commit to Australian accents and see what happens. And my Australian accent got really efficient. Now I bartend, I still do to this day, but I was at the time, and I would work an entire shift as an Australian, and I fooled everyone because I would tell them, they'd be like, "Oh, where are you from, Australia?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm from here. I grew up over in Metairie on Dumaine Street." And these girls would just buy it up. They're like, "No, you're lying. You're from Australia." And I'm like, "No. What accent are you talking about? I don't even know what accent you're talking about. I have a New Orleans accent." And they were just convinced that I was Australian. But I think had I just came out and said, "Oh yeah, I'm Australian," they would have totally. They probably wouldn't have bought it as easy as they did when I started playing with them.
But dude, I'm
But
telling you, that night that you pulled that whole
yeah,
thing out of your ass
that was the first that was that was the first class that I tried an accent, and like you said, it was received well.
Yeah.
Everybody loved it. I mean, I was shocked. I didn't think it was going to be that funny.
And that's what I was gonna tell you. Is like, man, I know you want to do like the serious acting stuff, but you have almost perfect comedic timing, and that's something that can't be taught. So
no, but I'll tell you where that comes from. I was blessed in that I was introduced to Mel Brooks at a young age, and I grew up watching Spaceballs, Robin Hood Men in Tights, Young Frankenstein, History of the World.
Yes.
I have every single one of those DVDs. You know, but people look at me and they don't look at me and go, "Oh, that's a guy who knows about classic comedy films." But I grew up on films like that really kind of, Airplane, Naked Gun, all the Naked Gun movies. Those were my go-to style comedies.
Yeah.
And to see that they don't even exist really anymore,
that sucks, really.
It's kind of hard for me. But a lot of their jokes require some worldly knowledge and life experience, but also some critical thinking.
Yeah.
And I sadly think society's getting further and further away from the ability to think critically. So I don't think a comedy like that could do well anymore, but I would love to see somebody pump those out. I think that would be great.
I would love to do that. I would love to be the next Mel Brooks, because all it is just holding a mirror up to society. And you need that, because nobody gets that now. Like if you were to do Blazing Saddles now, you would be, it's like, oh, cancel culture, like you'd be canceled. But it's what we're doing is you don't get what we're doing. We're holding a mirror up to society.
And people they try to turn comedy into this sort of evil thing, and it's like, oh, you're making fun of racism or whatever. And it's like, no, I'm not making fun of it. I'm not mocking it. I'm, like you said, I'm exposing it. I'm exploiting it in a funny manner. But the problem with that is some people don't take it that way and some people do. You know, look at people like, I don't know if you know who Anthony Jeselnik is.
I've heard the name, yeah.
He's kind of a really dark comedian, stand-up comedian. But his jokes are really dark. But if you see it for what they are, if you see it for, okay, this is a stand-up comedian. So, you know, he's doing his thing, and then if you actually follow along his jokes, he's really, really good. And I don't mean he's not a stand-up comedian in the modern sense where he just goes up there and talks. You know, he tells funny stories.
Yeah.
He goes up there.
Like
he tells like Rodney Dangerfield style kind of jokes. He leads you down this path, and then when you least expect it, he throws this little hook in there that you just don't see coming.
Yeah.
But he does so in such like a magical way. It's like, oh my God, that was so creative. You can't help but laugh and give him his props for it. But it is a little dark. It is a little twisted. But again, like you said, that it can be therapeutic. And somebody like me, or even anybody who watches comedy, why do we watch comedies to begin with? Probably because we want to laugh, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't like, if you know somebody who doesn't like to laugh, they probably have a lot of misery in their existence, right? They're probably fairly miserable people.
I think a lot of people don't know how to laugh at themselves these days too. And another thing is, I think with you know, social media and stuff, we've lost the ability to understand intent, because you can't get intent from something that's written down. Like,
right?
You could read a George Carlin joke and be like, man, that's really messed up. But you hear him say it in person and you get the intent behind it, then you understand it more.
Or if you know who George Carlin is,
exactly,
and if you're reading a transcript from him and somebody tells you this is from George Carlin, you're going to read it totally different than if somebody handed you the same transcript and said, this is from Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're going to read it completely different. And sarcasm, that's why getting into conversations on social media, because I like to be really sarcastic and have fun with a lot of these serious issues that are being talked about in society these days.
Yep.
And I like to have fun with it and be a little sarcastic, but sometimes people don't receive it as sarcasm.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I'm in this argument and I'm like, oh, this person didn't know me at all.
I do the same thing.
I end up having to like explain myself. Yeah.
I do the same thing, and that's why I've pretty much left Facebook. You know, I ended up. I told a joke a few weeks ago that wasn't a left or right, you know, wing joke. It was just was an observation about both sides. So whatever side you were on, you could get it. But I ended up with this whole thing ended up with a death threat at the end of it. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done here.
So, but here, and that's the thing. It's like if you can't laugh at your own ideology that you support, why do you support it?
Yeah.
What, you know, if and like you said, if you can't laugh at yourself, what kind of existence are you living in?
Exactly.
You know, we have one opportunity at this life. Why not have fun?
Yeah, make it the best you can make it, you know?
Exactly. And I think in terms of comedy, or in regards to comedy, people get caught up in the pressure to be politically correct, because they've been so politically correct in these forums and comment sections and threads that when they're having a conversation with somebody will tell a dirty joke that goes against what they support. They'll laugh at it, and then they'll catch themselves laughing, and they'll withdraw and say, oh, that's messed up. You shouldn't say that. And it's like, you were laughing a second ago. You know, just enjoy it. See it for what it is. It was a joke. It's comedy. Laugh at it. Now, if you're not a professional comedian and you're out in public or you're at a bar and you make some racist joke, you better expect to get punched in the face. You know,
I think that's another thing too. People have to realize, like, there is freedom of speech in this country, but there's not freedom from consequences of that speech.
That's exactly right, and that's the difference. It's like, look, you're absolutely right. You had every right to say what you said, but that guy had every right to punch you in the face for being an asshole because that's what you did.
Yeah.
And some people don't know. They don't know how to, because there is, like you said, there's a timing aspect to comedy, and there is a time and a place for every joke. So you have to kind of recognize who you're around, who's around you, where are you, and is that an appropriate, not, and it's hard for me to even say this because comedy is not supposed to have restrictions and rules.
Exactly.
In fact, comedy is truth, right? It's what it is. It's like you said, Jason. I can't put it in better words. You're turning a mirror on something,
mm-hmm.
and then laughing at it. You're like, when you self-reflect and you realize you made a dumb mistake on something, you should be able to sit back and be like, and laugh at it.
Yeah.
Realize, you know what? I'm a human being and I totally just fucked up. But that was kind of silly that I even thought to do that. But I'm going to make sure that I don't do that again.
Well, that's another thing
and
too.
If you can't, don't be so hard on yourself that when you make a mistake, your day is ruined.
Yeah.
Because society's going to be hard on you enough.
Yeah.
So you don't need to add to it.
That's the thing. I was going to say, like, people online that will do something stupid or say something stupid and then get canceled or whatever. And it's like, or people will bring up something somebody said 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not, I said some dumb shit too when I was, 25 years old or 20 years. Like, I'm 43 years old. People grow and people say stupid things. And
look at
as long
Kevin
as
Hart.
Yeah, exactly. Like, people say dumb things, and I'm not the same person I was, 10 years ago or 5 years ago. Like, everybody grows, and it's okay to be sorry about stuff. Like, if you said something really screwed up a couple of years ago, like, as long as, like, dude, I did not mean that, I was a different person, I'm okay with giving that person a pass.
Right, but also, go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, the people that are most obsessed with it, too, weren't even alive when a lot of this happened.
Right.
Yeah.
25 years ago. It's like you weren't even fucking alive. So
yeah.
How the world was when you were literally just a sperm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But man, Jason, you hit something a second ago that I wanted to hit on. Damn you guys and your good points.
Well, we're gonna wrap this thing up pretty soon. We're almost at an hour and 10 minutes, man. This has been has been an awesome conversation, man. We need to do this again because I love having you on the show, man. And
we have way too much fun. But
yeah, we do.
I make the most out of everything. So.
But I do. I don't know if you ever read the other short film that me and Wally have been wanting to do. It's a science fiction short film that we've had done for a while, and we've been.
I think you sent me. You had like 8 pages done.
Yeah, I think it was pretty early. We ended up, I think, with like 13 or 14 pages, and then Darnell wanted us to do another draft of it that's like 27 pages, so that we could film like a 30-minute version for like as a pitch, as a TV show.
And, yeah, but even not just as a pitch, I think. Unfortunately, I think attention spans are getting shorter.
Yeah.
Which is why I think these series are becoming more frequent, because people can't sit still for 2 hours anymore.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't think a 30-minute movie is such a bad idea.
No, it's not.
I mean, that's it. To me, I see that becoming the new feature length, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour.
And
maybe not in the near future, but maybe a couple decades away. The way I see people's attention spans going, doesn't take much to grab somebody's attention.
Oh yeah. But
So,
as soon as we can get that thing rolling, man, we're gonna launch another Kickstarter. Try to get some private investors for it, and I would definitely want to have you on board for it.
Get to know your tax incentive codes.
Yeah.
In Mississippi, and there's money when investing in film or investing in anything really. Losses can typically be written off.
Yeah.
But I think you might be limited as to how much you can write off. I'm not sure on specifics.
Well, we were gonna go again with Brent and Brian Kaz and that whole crew, and we were gonna film in Louisiana for it. So,
well, but what I'm saying is because even if it's a project that we all scrape money together to do ourselves, it won't hurt to get familiar with these tax codes because it is a business. At the end of the day, to get distribution, they want to know how much you spent because they need to watch the movie and they say, okay, you can make this much back. There's a lot of variables involved. Actors have like ticket sales numbers attached to their names, and that works just like the stock market.
Really?
How relevant are they? Yeah, it's really bizarre. It changes. It's like, do they have a movie that just came out?
Yeah.
Are they an Oscar winner? There's all these things that kind of determine all these things. But it's like what kind of gross ticket sales do they bring according to their past movies that they've done? And then you kind of you use that to set a budget, and then you use that to pitch to potential investors because nobody, especially when you start getting into hundreds of thousands of dollars or a couple $1 million for a low budget, that's still, you're still talking about $100,000 that you need to raise.
Yeah. And
for somebody to give that kind of money up, they're not just going to give it to you and not want anything back. They're going to want to make a return, right? They're investing in it. And, there is something, and like I said, we had the luxury of not needing to turn a profit on Monsters Anonymous, which was great because that was, when you start getting into that, your stress, you've got one more thing that you now have to worry about.
Yeah.
It's like, now I have to worry about making this good because somebody has to buy it and distribute it, and it has to be good enough to sell tickets so we can pay these people back. And that's a whole nother element that you add to it. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like a guy like yourself who's really passionate about a comic, and these big, like DC or somebody comes out and they make a Suicide Squad or something, and everybody's like, oh, that wasn't like the comics and all this, because they need to reach and appease to a wider variety, a wider range audience, because they need to sell tickets. They need to make that money back,
Yeah. And the financial stuff on movies is something like I didn't even think about it before we started doing Monsters, and then we get into it and we became a SAG production. And the thing is like when you've got SAG actors on your production like we did, but they're doing it for free basically. And you have to abide by those union rules. And the thing is like
sometimes
that kind of worked against us too as far as distribution. Like I put it on Amazon Prime because it's free to watch. If I was to make one single dime off of this movie, I would be penalized by SAG-AFTRA, and I would have to retroactively go back and pay all the SAG actors that were in the movie. And there was like 6 or 7 of them. And that would be upwards of, several $1,000s for 2 days worth of work.
And that's a whole nother conversation, because there are so many variables involved in the business aspect of film.
Stuff you don't even think about. Insurance. I didn't know movies had to have insurance before we did that. I had to go take out a $1 million insurance policy. You know how bad my hand was shaking when I was signing that stuff, man? I was like, what am I doing? Like, what is happening right now?
For SAG?
Yeah, for our whole production, we had to have a minimum of $1 million insurance policy.
This is the first time I'm hearing that.
Yeah, because look at all the equipment that we had. There was at least $500,000 worth of equipment. What's that?
Yeah.
Should have
You
what?
should have cut off a finger.
Yeah, no
But
shit.
I could have really been Frankenstein.
Because what happens if somebody gets injured, or you break a camera? Hell, the camera itself is $20,000 that we were using. Like stuff's not cheap. And if somebody, we're working with a crew of 75 people. If somebody gets hurt or whatever, we'd have to pay for that. And so we had this huge insurance policy, and it's like you're looking at $1 million insurance policy in front of you, and you're just like, I'm basically saying I am responsible if anybody gets hurt or anything gets stolen, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy.
It's you when you start getting into the official business of film, it is a business.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. I didn't realize that getting into it, but Monsters opened my eyes. Monsters Anonymous opened my eyes to a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, there's no wonder there's so many different types of producers on a film set.
Yep.
Because they're managing. I mean, it's a business that's only open for a few months.
Yeah.
It's like a pop-up shop somewhere.
Yeah.
But you have to insure it.
Yeah.
And
you have employees and trying to do all the tax paperwork for all the people that worked on the film was like,
and they didn't even get paid.
Yeah, but all the people that did get paid, like all the crew members and stuff, you got to do like 1099s and like all kind of different tax forms, and it's like I just wanted to film some people making jokes, man.
Yeah. I can't even do that without the government wanting a piece of the pie.
No shit, man. But we're coming up on the end of the episode. Dan, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It's so good to talk to you. It's been a few years since we've talked, man.
It's been a while. We kind of comment on things here and there on social media, but you're right. We had, like I said, everybody's kind of gone their separate ways. Life's kind of pulled everybody in different directions.
Yeah. So you want to tell everybody where they can find you online?
Yeah, so my Snapchat, I don't really get on Snapchat. I really don't get on Twitter much often either, but I do have those. And
you mainly
Instagram
hang out.
is really probably where I'm most active.
Yeah, I think that's where we interact the most is on Instagram.
It is, yeah. But Daniel Louis Levy, Louis is Louis. There's no spaces, underscores, nothing like that. So it's DanielLouis Levy. Now, filming is really slow right now, so there's not a whole lot of acting stuff that I'm involved in right now. There are a few things that I'm sort of dabbling with and sort of helping with. But my main focus lately has been my cocktail business. So quarantine has kind of opened my eyes to an opportunity that I'm pursuing. So we can get into that on a later date.
Are you doing a bar, like liquor style ice cream truck for adults?
Damn it, Jason. You mean you have one of those too?
Dude, I would love that, man. I'd be sloshed every day.
I guess I'm not going to pursue that anymore.
What about you, Jacob?
It's a little different. There's nothing really new about it. It's really just that it's something that I'm doing that anybody else could have done. Nobody thought to do it.
Well, let me know when you get everything up and running. We'll share it for you.
I make the best cocktails you'll ever have.
Sweet. What about you, Jacob?
I've been craft cocktailing for 10 years now.
Nice. What about you, Jacob?
I've my tail, dude. I don't know.
I make everything from scratch. I make all my bitters, my syrups. I do all that myself in my kitchen.
Nice.
So, but anyway. Well, let's definitely do this again sometime.
Hell yeah. What about you, Jacob? What you got going on before we get out of here?
I have a show in September. I don't know if I'm allowed to say I have a show in September yet, but I do. So I can't talk about it.
Do you have an insurance policy on that show?
Yeah.
I don't have an insurance policy on it, but if I die, no one will miss me. So
I don't know. I just met you, Jacob. I like you. You're cool. You can hang around a bit.
I appreciate that. We should be best friends now.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Before we go, I just want to say that we do have our Patreon is up and running as of right now. It is patreon.com/OM podcast. I made it as simple as I could make it for everybody to go there. We have 3 different tiers. We have a $3 tier, a $5 tier, and a $10 tier. And if you do the $10 per month, you actually get your business or yourself, whatever you needed, shouted out at the beginning of each episode as sort of an ad, I guess. You'll get shouted out not only that way, but on social media. And we're going to do some stickers and stuff soon, too. So we'll send you out some stickers. And you'll get discounts. At the $10 tier, you'll get some discounts on T-shirts and all that other kind of stuff.
I like stickers.
Dan,
Everyone likes stickers.
Yeah, everybody loves stickers. And we won't be like Bernie Sanders with you and your Bernie Sanders stickers, Jacob.
I still ain't got that fucking free bumper sticker.
Well, it's not free. You don't realize you paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Dan,
or maybe I paid for it.
Yeah.
Maybe I paid for it.
Yeah.
No.
Dan, thank you so much for joining us. And
All right, guys.
if you'd like to email us, you can email us at openmikerspodcast@gmail.com. We are at Open Micers on Twitter and Facebook. And if you'd like to follow us individually, I'm at jayFunktastic, and Jacob is at Jacob Craig Comedy. And we will see you guys next Thursday. That was a fun show. What's up, Mixmaster in the chat room? Yeah, thanks for joining us tonight, everybody, and Twitch. And we will see you guys. Actually, be here Sunday. I'll be doing my retro NES stream. I'll be playing some Ninja Turtles again. So watch me get my.
And
ass
also
kicked.
next Thursday we're gonna have a celebrity guest. So please, guys, log on and send us some chats and let us know if you have any questions while the episode's going on. And
Yes.
we'll try to keep up with it and ask your questions on air.
Yeah. So thank you guys, and we'll see you.